The palace of the alien queen stretched across the horizon like a vast crystal city. Its spires reached high into the sky, reflecting the twin suns that bathed the planet in golden light. Outside, alien guards patrolled in perfect formations, their uniforms shimmering with energy fields that made them appear untouchable. The air itself seemed alive with the hum of advanced technology, the faint sound of floating transport ships, and the soft whispers of courtiers preparing for a momentous event. Inside the palace, the alien queen sat on her throne, a figure of authority and grace. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, watched the grand hall where nobles and servants gathered. Today was unusual. Messages had arrived from the human worlds, rare, distant, and often misunderstood. A human had requested an audience. Humans were not common in this sector of the galaxy. Many believed them weak, fragile, and unpredictable. The alien queen had heard stories of human bravery, but also of human recklessness. Still, she was curious. "My queen," her chief advisor said, bowing low, "the human has arrived. He claims to bring no gifts or requests. He only wishes to meet you and your daughter." The queen's eyes narrowed slightly. "Interesting. Let him enter. I want to see if this human is as clever as his kind claims." The doors to the hall opened, revealing a man of average height by alien standards, wearing simple armor and carrying only a small pack. His presence, though modest, was commanding. He walked with confidence, his head held high, his eyes scanning the room without fear. No servant rushed to announce him. No guard stepped forward aggressively. The human's calm aura made the hall fall into a hushed dot. The young alien princess, sitting near the queen, tilted her head. She had been warned that humans were cunning, but she had never met one. She expected someone weak, perhaps clumsy, or someone who would bow repeatedly in fear. Instead, she saw a human whose quiet confidence made her almost suspicious. The princess leaned forward, a small smirk forming on her lips. "So," she said, her voice sharp, "this is the human we have waited to meet. I must admit, I expected someone taller, stronger, or at least more interesting." The human did not flinch. He glanced at her, calm and unbothered, and nodded politely. "I am as you see me," he said. His voice was steady, respectful, yet firm. The princess laughed lightly, but it was more of a sneer than amusement. "As I see you?" she repeated. "I see someone fragile, someone who should not be here in a place of power. Tell me, human, do your people send the weak to negotiate with kings and queens?" The court erupted in whispers. Some gasped at her rudeness. Some turned to the queen, who watched silently, her expression unreadable. The human did not answer immediately. Instead, he bowed slightly to the queen, acknowledging her position, and then straightened again. His eyes met the princess's, unflinching. "My people respect wisdom and courage. Strength comes in many forms. I hope to show that today." The princess's eyes narrowed. She had not expected him to reply so calmly. Most beings, she thought, would cower, apologize, or attempt a clever insult in return. He had done none of those. He had only stood there, quiet, patient, and unwavering. "You stand too tall for someone so small," she said, trying again to provoke him. "Do you think your courage alone can impress a queen? Or perhaps you are only blind to the reality around you?" The human smiled faintly, but it was not a smile of mockery. It was a smile of understanding. "Perhaps," he said softly, "or perhaps courage is what allows us to face reality clearly, without fear." The princess blinked, momentarily caught off guard. She was used to beings who flinched at her words or retaliated with anger. This human's calm was a mirror that reflected her own impatience. For a moment, she felt a spark of curiosity, knowing and unfamiliar. The queen's eyes twinkled. She had never seen her daughter so unsettled. "Interesting," she murmured. "This human has manners and composure, and he is unafraid. That is rare." The princess, sensing that her mother was observing, straightened her back. She could not show weakness. "Enough talk," she said, her tone icy. "I see no reason why he should not leave if he cannot prove himself worthy." The human inclined his head slightly. "I will do nothing without your guidance, princess. I came to observe, to understand, and to serve in any way you allow. Her laughter, sharp and echoing in the hall, turned heads. Serve? You dare speak of service? You, human, are already at the mercy of my patience. Do not presume you will command it. The human's gaze did not waver. He simply nodded and stepped back, giving her space, not with fear, but with respect. Every movement he made was careful and precise. The alien nobles whispered among themselves. Who was this human who did not react to insults? Some were intrigued. Some were worried. To ignore a royal insult was almost unheard of in their culture. The queen finally spoke. Enough, daughter. Let us observe him further. Humans are unpredictable. Perhaps we will find him lacking. Or perhaps we will discover what so many fear, that humans, though small and untested, have qualities even we cannot ignore. The princess frowned but said nothing. She studied him, her mind racing. Every alien she had known would have either attacked her verbally or shown fear. He did neither. He simply existed with an air of self-possession she could not quite define. Very well, she said finally. We shall see what you are truly capable of, human. You may remain in the palace for the evening. Tomorrow, we will see if your mind can match your audacity. The human inclined his head, grateful, yet composed. Thank you, princess. I will do my best to honor your trust, the courtiers murmured again. This human did not bow excessively. He did not grovel. He did not challenge her, and yet he earned respect simply by standing calmly, ready to act rather than argue. As the evening progressed, the princess watched him move through the palace with measured steps. He examined the architecture, the security measures, the layout of the halls, all with an analytical eye. He did not take anything for granted. He asked questions politely, but with a sharpness that revealed his intelligence. The princess found herself both annoyed and fascinated. She had insulted him openly, expecting laughter or submission. Yet he had shown neither. He had turned her words into silence, his calmness echoing through her mind. The queen observed in silence, noting every interaction. She had seen hundreds of diplomats, warriors, and nobles in her long life. Yet this human was unusual. There was a sense of balance in him, a combination of humility and strength that seemed impossible in one so young and untested. Mother, the princess finally said, her voice quieter now, tinged with confusion. Why does he not fear me? Why does he not bow or argue? The queen's eyes gleamed. Because he is human, she said simply. Humans have a resilience we rarely see. They do not fear, and they do not submit to arrogance. They face challenges and insults with clarity. Watch him, daughter. There is much to learn. The princess turned back to the human, who had paused near a balcony, looking out over the city. The twin suns glinted off his armor, simple but functional, and she noticed something remarkable. Despite his small stature, he carried an aura of confidence that made him seem taller, stronger, and more imposing than any alien warrior in the palace. For the first time, she felt a pang of doubt. Her words, her usual authority, seemed almost meaningless against this human's calm presence. She realized that insults alone would not work on him. If anything, they only revealed her own impatience. The queen, noticing her daughter's hesitation, leaned forward slightly on her throne. Let him stay for the evening. Let him move freely. Observe how he behaves. True strength is revealed not in anger, but in restraint and intelligence. The princess nodded reluctantly. Very well, mother, but do not expect me to be impressed easily. The human, having overheard none of the whispers, continued his careful examination, untroubled by the tension in the room. He did not seek approval or favor. He simply moved with purpose, quietly observing, learning, and preparing for whatever challenges might come next. As night fell over the crystal spires, the palace lights began to glow softly. The human sat alone for a moment in the observation hall, looking at the stars. He knew the princess would challenge him tomorrow. He knew he would be tested in ways unfamiliar to him. Yet he did not fear. Humans, he reminded himself, were strong not because of size or weapons, but because of will, intellect, and courage. That strength had carried his people through countless dangers, and it would guide him here as well. In the halls of the alien palace, a new presence had arrived, one that would challenge assumptions, disrupt expectations, and quietly command attention. The princess had insulted him, as she did all who entered her court, but the human had turned away, leaving both the princess and the queen with a single undeniable truth: humans were different, and sometimes different was unstoppable. The night stretched on, quiet except for the soft hum of palace machinery and the distant calls of alien night creatures. The human rested, prepared for tomorrow's trials, unaware of the stir he had caused. The princess, meanwhile, could not sleep. Thoughts of the human's calm strength kept her mind busy. She had underestimated him. She did not like being underestimated. And the queen, high on her throne, smiled faintly. The game had begun. The morning sun rose over the crystal palace, casting long shadows across the grand hall. The twin suns painted the spires in gold and orange, making the city outside appear alive with light. Within the palace, a sense of anticipation filled the air. Today was the day the princess had declared she would test the human. The alien court buzzed with curiosity, nobles whispering among themselves about what they expected to be a humiliating display. The alien princess stood at her window, looking out over the city. Her arms were crossed, and her expression was sharp. She had spent the night thinking about the human. She could not understand why he had remained calm after her insults. Most beings would have cowered or fought back, yet he had only stood quietly, showing respect for her mother and ignoring her taunts. He has no fear, she muttered to herself. How can that be? Everyone fears the royal family. The alien queen, seated behind her daughter, watched quietly. Fear is not the only measure of respect, she said softly. Some beings show strength by standing steady. Observe him today, daughter. Learn. You may be surprised. The princess narrowed her eyes. I doubt he can impress me. Humans are weak. I have seen their fleets. Their armor, they are nothing compared to ours. The queen's lips curved slightly. Perhaps, or perhaps their strength is not what you expect. By the time the human entered the hall, the princess had gathered her court. The nobles whispered eagerly, watching the scene unfold. The princess stepped forward, her movements precise and deliberate, as if she were preparing to strike. Human, she said, her voice sharp and cold, you have spent one night in our palace, yet you behave as if you belong here. Tell me, what makes you think you deserve our attention? The human stood tall, his armor simple but functional, his pack resting lightly on his back. He did not bow excessively. He did not plead. He simply met her gaze. I seek neither favor nor attention, he said. I came to learn, to understand, and to prove that my presence is worthy through my actions. Not words. The princess laughed, a sound like shards of glass. Words? Your words are weak already. If you hope to impress me with your actions, you will fail. Humans have little skill in our ways. You will find our challenges insurmountable. The human's lips curled into a faint smile, not of arrogance, but of quiet confidence. Then I will do what I must. I will face the challenge and show what can be done, no matter how difficult it may seem. The princess's smirk deepened. Very well, let us begin. You will show us your worth or you will leave in shame. You will face 3 trials today: knowledge, strategy, and skill. Each will determine if you are worthy of even speaking in this hall again. The nobles gasped. The trials of the court were feared by all visitors. Even the most experienced diplomats had struggled. Yet the human did not falter. He nodded politely, ready to accept what was coming. The first trial was knowledge. The human was led to a chamber filled with holographic displays, showing complex alien mathematics, physics, and history. The princess leaned against a wall, arms crossed, expecting him to fail immediately. You will answer these questions, she said. Your mind must be sharp, or you will be dismissed. Humans are said to be clever, but cleverness alone will not save you here. The human studied the displays carefully. He examined each hologram, each symbol, each equation. He did not rush. He calculated patiently, thinking through every step. The court watched in amazement as he provided answers that were correct, elegant, and often faster than the palace scholars themselves could respond. The princess's eyes narrowed. She had not expected him to succeed. "Lucky guesses," she muttered. But even she could not hide the growing surprise in her voice. The second trial was strategy. The human was brought to a war simulation chamber, where holographic soldiers move across a massive display of a battlefield. Alien generals had designed this simulation to test the mind, requiring quick thinking, tactical awareness, and foresight. The princess, standing above the simulation, watched with growing interest. "Humans are clumsy," she whispered. "You will fail here. The battlefield is not forgiving." The human observed carefully. He studied the positions, the terrain, and the movement of the holographic units. Then, with calm precision, he adjusted the strategy, issuing commands that seemed simple but were perfectly calculated. Slowly, the simulation turned in his favor. Enemy forces were outmaneuvered. Friendly units were protected. The princess watched, silently growing uneasy as the human's mind proved sharper than she had imagined. You are clever," she admitted under her breath. "But this is only a simulation. Reality will test you further." The third trial was skill, the final test. The human was led to a training arena filled with alien technology and weapons. The challenge was to navigate through complex obstacles, solve mechanical puzzles, and demonstrate physical skill. Many visitors had failed here, unable to adapt to the alien designs. The human approached the challenge with patience and focus. He moved carefully, using logic, observation, and ingenuity. When faced with a locked gate, he studied the mechanism and unlocked it without force, understanding its pattern. When faced with a shifting platform, he calculated the timing and crossed with ease. The princess watched him, her expression a mix of frustration and disbelief. "This cannot be," she whispered to herself. "No human should be able to match my expectations. He is extraordinary." The queen, observing from the throne, smiled faintly. "Strength and skill are not always obvious, daughter. Sometimes the mind is mightier than any weapon." By the end of the day, the human had completed all three trials. He had done so calmly, without arrogance, without complaint, and without a single word of insult in return. The court was silent, astonished at what they had witnessed. The princess finally approached him, her pride bruised. "You survived the trials," she said, her voice tight. "Humans are more capable than I expected. But do not think this changes anything. You have only proven your mind. There are many other ways you may fail." The human bowed slightly, his tone polite. "I understand, princess. I do not seek to prove myself through words. I will continue to show my worth through action, whenever it is required." The princess's eyes narrowed, a flicker of respect mixed with lingering frustration. "You are unusual. Most beings would bow, cry, or argue. You do none of these. It is confusing." The queen leaned forward slightly. "That is the point, daughter. Humans are not like other beings. They do not react out of fear or pride. They act with purpose, logic, and courage. You will see more as time passes." The princess looked at the human, studying him closely. She realized that despite her insults and harsh words, he had not wavered. He had not been offended, nor had he attempted to insult her in return. He had simply acted with focus and calm. For the first time, she felt a strange feeling, curiosity mixed with frustration. She wanted to understand him, yet part of her resisted. She was not used to beings who could stand tall without arrogance, who could act boldly without seeking favor, and who could face challenges without fear. The human, unaware of the inner turmoil he had caused, quietly observed the court, noting patterns, routines, and the hierarchy of the palace. He did not seek to dominate, only to understand. His calm presence had begun to unsettle many nobles who were unused to someone so composed. That evening, the queen called a private audience with the princess. "You must admit," she said gently, "this human is unlike any visitor we have received. He is patient, clever, and brave. And yet, he is respectful. That combination is rare." The princess, still frowning, nodded slowly. "I see it, mother. But I am not impressed, not yet." I will not be easily impressed. This is only the beginning. The queen smiled. Perhaps, but the beginning is important. Watch him closely. There's more to learn from humans than you realize. As night fell over the crystal city, the human rested in a small chamber provided by the palace. He reflected on the day, understanding that the trials had been designed not only to test skill, but to observe character. He had passed not through strength alone, but through calmness, intelligence, and patience outside. The princess stared from her window, the image of the human still fresh in her mind. She had underestimated him, and that realization stung more than she cared to admit. Yet a part of her could not deny the truth. This human was extraordinary. The palace, which had once been predictable and orderly, now felt alive with possibility. A new force had entered a human whose presence would challenge assumptions, spark curiosity, and quietly demonstrate that true strength was more than mere power or title. The princess clenched her fists, determined. Tomorrow, she decided, she would challenge him further. She would see if he could withstand not only trials, but her cunning and test of wit. She was not used to being challenged in this way, and she would not allow herself to be outdone. And so, the first day of challenge ended. The human had survived, not by force, but by courage, intelligence, and patience. The princess had begun to notice a subtle shift in her perception, and the queen, seated high above the hall, observed silently, knowing that the game had only just begun. The morning light spilled over the crystal palace, painting every spire and tower in bright gold. The city below hummed with life as alien citizens prepared for another day. But inside the grand hall, there was a tension that could be felt even by those far away. The alien princess had spent a restless night, thinking of the human. His calm and clever behavior from the previous day had unsettled her more than she wanted to admit. She walked through the hall, her robes flowing, every step deliberate. Courtiers bowed low, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and fear. Today, the princess decided she would test him further. Insults had failed. Cleverness and patience had met her words with silence. It was time for a different challenge, one that required both wit and observation. The queen observed from her throne, seated with grace and quiet authority. "Daughter," she said softly, "do not underestimate him. Humans are not like others we have met. They observe, they learn, and they adapt. You may try to unsettle him, but be ready to be surprised." The princess's eyes narrowed. "I understand, mother. I will see just how clever he truly is. Perhaps today I will finally make him falter." The human entered the hall, calm and poised as always. He had learned much from yesterday's trials, but he did not boast. His presence was quiet, yet commanding in a subtle way. He acknowledged the princess and the queen with a respectful bow, careful not to overstep. The princess smiled, but it was a sharp smile, full of challenge. "Human," she said, "you have passed our first trials, but that was only the beginning. Today, we will test your ability to adapt, to think quickly, and to prove that your mind can match the cunning of those in this palace. You will face 3 new tests. Each one will push you to your limits." The human nodded politely. "I am ready, princess. I will do my best." The first test was observation and deduction. The human was led to a chamber filled with objects from across the galaxy. Strange artifacts, glowing crystals, and alien machines filled the room. The princess explained that each item had a secret, a purpose, or a hidden pattern. He was to discover these truths using only his reasoning skills. The human approached each object carefully, studying its form, weight, and energy signature. He asked quiet questions, analyzed patterns, and used logic to uncover the functions of even the most obscure items. The court watched in awe. Even seasoned alien scholars were impressed by his insight. The princess's eyes narrowed with growing frustration. She had expected him to struggle, to make mistakes, to reveal ignorance. Instead, he moved through the chamber with patience and accuracy, revealing truths hidden in the objects with ease. "You are clever," she admitted quietly, though she did not intend for him to hear. "Perhaps too clever. But let us see if your skills extend beyond observation." The second test was strategy and leadership. The queen had arranged a simulation of a planetary crisis, a neighboring world under threat. From a natural disaster, holographic images of cities, energy grids, and populations filled the large chamber. The human was tasked with planning a rescue and mitigation strategy. Working with alien advisors who had limited trust in him, the human observed the scenario carefully. He noted weaknesses in the plans proposed by the alien advisors and suggested improvements. His strategies were simple, yet effective. He distributed resources efficiently, minimized risk, and protected the most vulnerable. The princess watched from above, trying to hide the respect she could not ignore. The human did not command with arrogance, nor did he insult the advisors. He led quietly, letting his actions speak louder than words. Slowly, the simulated disaster was brought under control. "Impossible," the princess whispered. "No human should be able to manage this so well. He is extraordinary." The queen smiled, knowing her daughter was learning a subtle lesson in humility. "Observe, daughter," she said. "Leadership is not only about power or fear. It is about action, foresight, and care. Humans often surprise us because they see value in what others overlook." The third test was endurance and adaptation. The human was led to a chamber that simulated extreme environmental conditions. Sections of the room shifted between heat, cold, low gravity, and high gravity. Obstacles appeared and disappeared, requiring him to adjust quickly. Most visitors failed this test because they panicked or could not adapt fast enough. The human approached each challenge methodically. When gravity increased, he adjusted his balance and found leverage. When heat rose, he used available resources to stay cool. When obstacles moved unexpectedly, he analyzed patterns and anticipated the next shift. The princess's frustration grew with every success. "He cannot possibly survive all of this," she muttered. No human could endure so much without breaking, yet he did. He moved through the environment, completing the tasks with steady focus. He did not complain. He did not panic. He simply adapted and solved every problem the chamber presented. By the end of the day, the human had completed all three tests. He had observed, led, and adapted in ways that surpassed the expectations of the palace and its inhabitants. The princess approached him, her pride wounded, but her eyes reflecting a spark of curiosity. "You are remarkable," she said finally. "I have tried to unsettle you, to show you our superiority, but you remain steady. You think clearly when others panic. You lead when others fail. You adapt when others cannot. Tell me, human, where does such strength come from?" The human bowed slightly, his tone calm. "Strength comes from understanding, princess, from knowing what matters and acting with purpose, from learning from failure and keeping one's focus. That is how my people endure." The princess studied him carefully. She had underestimated him, and that realization was difficult to accept. "Your people are strange," she said softly. "I do not understand why you do not seek glory or respond with pride or fear. You are different from everyone I know. Perhaps that is what makes us human," he replied simply. "We face challenges not to prove superiority, but to do what must be done. To act, not to boast." The queen watched quietly, impressed by his words and demeanor. "You see, daughter," she said softly, "humans are not the strongest in body, but they are often the strongest in mind and spirit. That is why they endure, why they survive, and why they can accomplish what others cannot." The princess, still struggling with her pride, nodded slowly. She did not speak further, but her eyes betrayed her growing respect. The human's calmness, intelligence, and patience had begun to unsettle her. He had not insulted her. He had not sought favor. He had only acted with focus and purpose, quietly demonstrating his abilities. As the evening approached, the queen summoned the princess and the human for a private audience. "You have seen today, daughter," she said, "that strength is not always obvious. Sometimes it comes quietly, in ways we do not expect. Humans possess a combination of courage, intelligence, and resilience that even royalty must acknowledge." The princess's eyes narrowed, but there was a new softness in her expression. "I see it, mother, but I am not yet convinced. There is more to test, more to understand. I will not be easily impressed." This human, he may be clever, but cleverness alone does not guarantee survival in our world. The human bowed respectfully. I understand, Princess. I am prepared to continue learning and proving my worth in whatever way you see fit. The queen smiled faintly, her eyes gleaming. That is the attitude that sets humans apart. They do not boast. They do not retreat in fear. They observe, they adapt, and they act. That is why your presence here is important, human, and why we will watch you closely. The princess, though frustrated, could not deny the truth. He was extraordinary. She had underestimated him, and now she would need to confront the fact that humans, though young and unfamiliar in the galaxy, could match or surpass even the most cunning of alien minds. The human retired to his chamber for the night, unaware of the storm he had stirred in the princess's mind. He reflected quietly on the day, knowing that each challenge had been a test not only of skill, but of character. He had passed through patience, intelligence, and common qualities that even the most powerful aliens often lack. Outside, the princess paced in her room, restless. She could not stop thinking about him. His calm demeanor, his intelligence, his adaptability, it was unlike anything she had experienced. A part of her wanted to challenge him further, to see if he could withstand more. But another part of her could not deny the growing respect that had begun to take root. The queen, watching silently from her throne, smiled faintly. The human had passed the trials, not through strength alone, but through qualities that were rare and valuable in the galaxy. The princess would learn this soon enough. As night fell over the crystal palace, the city outside glittered with light, and the halls were quiet except for the whispers of nobles discussing the day's events. A new presence had entered the palace, one that would challenge assumptions, inspire curiosity, and quietly demonstrate that true strength was more than titles, weapons, or pride. The princess, despite her pride and sharp tongue, could not stop thinking about him. The human had survived her tests, not by force, but by intellect, courage, and patience. And she knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, both for him and for herself, as she tried to understand the true nature of human strength. The crystal city shone under the twin suns as morning light spilled across the palace spires. Today, however, the palace felt different, tense, alert, and uneasy. Outside the walls, scouts had reported an unexpected rival. A rival alien faction, armed and aggressive, had entered the system. Their ships moved like predators, scanning for weaknesses, and their intentions were clear. The palace bells rang, an alarm that echoed through the crystal corridors. The alien queen rose from her throne, her face composed but her eyes sharp with concern. "Prepare the defenses," she ordered. "This threat is serious. Our fleet must respond immediately." The princess, pacing in her chamber, felt her heart beat faster than usual. She had spent days watching the human, testing him, and being tested in return. Yet she had never imagined a situation like this, an actual threat to their world. She watched the city's defense systems activate, energy shields humming to life, warships rising from hidden docks, and elite soldiers preparing for battle. The human entered the hall, calm as always. "I heard about the incoming fleet," he said. "How many ships are we facing, and what are their capabilities?" The princess looked at him sharply. "You are human. This is war. You cannot understand the danger. Leave this to those trained in strategy and combat." The human's gaze remained steady. "I do not wish to interfere unnecessarily, princess, but if my skills can help protect your people, I am ready to contribute." The princess hesitated. She did not trust humans in combat, yet she had seen his intelligence and adaptability in previous trials. Reluctantly, she nodded. "Very well, but remember, one mistake could cost lives." The human studied the holographic display of enemy ships, noting positions, speed, and armament. He turned to the alien officers, who were tense and unsure. "Your fleet is well armed," he said, "but they rely on predictable formations. If we can anticipate their movements, we can exploit gaps and protect the planet." The officers exchanged skeptical glances. Humans rarely commanded in alien war rooms. Most would panic, argue, or retreat under pressure. This one, however, spoke with calm authority and clarity. Slowly, They began to listen. The princess watched from above, her pride battling with curiosity. The human's confidence unsettled her. He was not only intelligent, but he also inspired others to act efficiently. Her own soldiers hesitated, unsure if they should follow his orders. Yet he did not seek control for himself. He only offered guidance, corrections, and solutions. Divide the fleet into 3 groups, he instructed, pointing to the holographic map. Group 1 will protect the main city and its energy sources. Group 2 will intercept enemy scouts. Group 3 will create a diversion, drawing them into traps where we have the advantage. The officers nodded, impressed despite themselves. They quickly organized the fleet according to his plan. The princess could not deny it. His strategy was precise, clever, and effective. The first wave of enemy ships approached. Their weapons glowed as they prepared to fire. Panic rippled among the defenders, but the human remained calm. Focus on defense first, he said. Do not fire until you see an opening. Use their momentum against them. The alien warships followed his instructions, holding fire until the enemy moved into a vulnerable position. Then, coordinated beams of energy and precision strikes disabled several enemy vessels in rapid succession. And the palace hall erupted with a mixture of relief and astonishment. The princess leaned forward, her eyes wide. How does he see their weaknesses so quickly? She whispered to herself. No one else could respond like this under pressure. The human observed constantly, adjusting tactics as the battle unfolded. He anticipated enemy maneuvers, directed resources where needed, and prevented panic among the officers. His calm and decisive actions began to inspire not just the soldiers, but also the princess herself. She felt a strange respect growing alongside her frustration. He was proving her wrong at every turn. The queen watched silently, her expression unreadable but her eyes gleaming. She had predicted that humans could be extraordinary, yet even she could not fully anticipate the speed and clarity with which he acted. Hours passed. The human remained focused, rarely pausing, always thinking one step ahead. He noticed an approaching group of enemy ships attempting to flank the city's defenses. We need a quick response, he said. I suggest deploying drones with electromagnetic pulses to disable their systems temporarily, giving our fleet time to regroup. The alien officers were surprised. They had never seen a human use technology in this way during battle. With precise coordination, the drones were deployed, disabling the flanking ships. The enemy formation faltered, confusion spreading among their ranks. The princess watched, her pride slowly giving way to admiration. She had insulted him, expected him to falter. And yet here he was saving her city and her people without seeking praise or recognition. The queen finally spoke, her voice calm but firm. You see, daughter, strength is not always measured by size or title. Sometimes it is revealed in action, in courage, and in the ability to remain calm when chaos surrounds you. The princess's hands clenched at her sides. I see it, mother, but I do not like it. Her voice was sharp, but the words lacked conviction. Deep down, she could not deny the truth. The human noticed that one of the city's energy shields was weakening under concentrated fire. Without hesitation, he ran to the control station, recalculating energy distribution and directing additional power to reinforce it. Sparks flew, alarms blared, but the shield stabilized just in time to repel the enemy assault. The alien nobles gasped. Many whispered that no human could have acted so quickly under pressure. Yet here he was, calm and precise, making split-second decisions that saved lives. The princess finally stepped forward. Human, she said, her voice tight, you are remarkable. But do not think this proves anything yet. This is only one battle. There will be more challenges, and humans often fail when tested again. The human looked at her, his expression composed. I understand, princess. I did not fight to prove myself. I fight to protect. That is all. The battle raged for hours, but the human strategies held. The enemy fleet was eventually forced to retreat, their ships damaged, morale broken, and plans foiled. The palace and the city had survived, thanks largely to the humans' quick thinking and courage. The princess watched in silence. Her pride had not vanished, but it was tempered now by grudging respect. He had done what she had thought impossible. He had led, guided, and saved her people without seeking glory or recognition. The queen observed quietly, satisfied. "This human is not here to take power," she said softly. "He is here to act when needed, to solve problems, and to protect. That is why he is extraordinary, and why you should learn from him." The princess turned away, struggling with her emotions. She had insulted him, expected him to fail, and yet he had risen above every challenge. For the first time, she wondered if humans, though small and untested in her galaxy, might possess strengths she had never imagined. The human, after ensuring the city was secure, returned to the palace. He was calm, collected, and entirely unflustered. He had acted not for reward, but because it was the right thing to do. His presence, once a curiosity, had become a quiet force that even the royal court could not ignore. The princess, standing in her chamber, looked out at the city. She could feel the weight of the day's events pressing on her pride. But she could not deny the truth. This human was extraordinary, and she had underestimated him at every turn. The queen approached her daughter. "Do you see, now?" she asked gently. "Humans may not have titles or great armies, but they have something rare: courage, intelligence, and the ability to act decisively when it matters most. That is why we must watch them closely, and why we must respect them, even if it is difficult." The princess nodded slowly. "I see it, mother. I cannot deny it. But I am not done with him yet. I will continue to test him, to understand him, and perhaps to learn something from him myself." The queen smiled faintly. "That is the way of leaders. We learn not only from our own strength, but from the strength of others." Even humans, as night fell, the city lights sparkled across the crystal towers, and the palace returned to relative calm. The human rested, reflecting on the day's events. He had faced not only the test of the princess and court, but also a real threat to life and city. Yet he remained composed, focused, and ready for whatever came next. The princess, meanwhile, could not sleep. She kept thinking about his calm courage, his cleverness, and his unwavering focus. She had insulted him, underestimated him, and challenged him. Yet he had proven her wrong in every way. The queen watched from her throne, quietly satisfied. The human had survived not through force, but through courage, intelligence, and patience, the qualities that made humans remarkable. And the princess, despite her pride and sharp tongue, had begun to see the truth. There was much to learn from this human. Tomorrow, she knew, would bring new challenges. But one thing was certain: the human had already changed the way the princess and the court viewed strength, courage, and leadership. And that change would only grow as he continued to act with wisdom, patience, and quiet power. The palace had faced its first crisis with a human among them, and it had survived, stronger and wiser for it. The morning sun rose over the crystal palace, bathing its spires in golden light once again. The palace, still quiet after the previous day's crisis, hummed softly with life. Soldiers repaired minor damages to the city's defenses. Courtiers whispered in awe about the human who had guided their fleet and protected their home. Even those who had doubted him now spoke his name with respect, quietly acknowledging that he was extraordinary. The alien princess stood in her chamber, staring out at the city. Her thoughts were restless. She had challenged the human, insulted him, and tested him in countless ways. Each time, he had remained calm, clever, and composed. Even during the battle, when her city had been at risk, he had acted without fear, guiding her people with precision and intelligence. She could not deny the truth anymore. "He is unlike anyone I have ever met," she whispered to herself. A part of her, buried deep under pride and stubbornness, felt respect. Another part felt a flicker of frustration. He had proven her wrong at every turn. Yet, beneath it all, she realized she had learned something. Strength, courage, and intelligence could take many forms, and humans were living proof. The queen entered the chamber quietly, her presence commanding yet gentle. "Daughter," she said softly, "it is time. The human has done more than survive your tests. He has acted when others hesitated, guided when others faltered, and saved your city when it was threatened. You must acknowledge him for what he truly is." The princess turned sharply, her pride still intact, though her eyes betrayed a new understanding. "I see it, mother. He is remarkable, but I am not sure I am ready to show respect openly." The queen smiled faintly. "Sometimes, acknowledging greatness is a true mark of strength. It does not diminish you. It shows wisdom." The princess nodded slowly, taking a deep breath. "Very well. Let us meet him in the hall." The human had spent the morning quietly observing palace activity, offering suggestions only when asked. His demeanor remained calm and respectful. He did not seek attention, nor did he boast of his actions. Yet every move he made carried quiet authority. When the princess entered the hall, the human looked up, meeting her gaze with the same calm composure he had always shown. "Princess," he said politely, "I hope the city is secure and that your people are safe." The princess walked forward, her expression serious but softer than usual. She studied him for a long moment, weighing her words carefully. "Human," she began, "I have insulted you. I have tested you relentlessly. I doubted your skills, your courage, and your mind. Yet you have proven yourself at every turn." The human inclined his head slightly, his voice steady. "I understand, princess. I do not seek approval. I act only to do what is right." The princess's eyes softened. "But that is exactly what makes you extraordinary. You do not act for glory. You do not seek praise. You act because it is necessary, and in doing so, you have saved lives, protected our city, and earned the respect of those who once doubted you." The hall was silent. Nobles and officers who had followed the events quietly watched, sensing that a turning point had arrived. Even the queen observed with satisfaction, knowing her daughter was learning a vital lesson. I have underestimated you," the princess admitted, her pride mixed with respect. "And I was wrong to insult you. You are clever, brave, and wise beyond what I expected from someone so young and unfamiliar to our ways." The human remained composed. "Thank you, princess. That is enough. I seek nothing more." The princess hesitated, then spoke again, her voice firmer now. "I wish to acknowledge your courage and skill openly. The court should know what you have done, and that respect is due to you." The queen rose from her throne, her presence commanding attention. "It is true. This human has acted with intelligence, courage, and calm precision when our people needed it most. He has surpassed expectations, not through arrogance, but through action and wisdom. Let it be known throughout the palace that he has earned our respect." The court murmured in agreement. Some bowed, others simply nodded, and whispers of astonishment spread quickly. The human, however, remained humble, accepting the acknowledgement without pride or boastfulness. His calm demeanor only enhanced the respect he commanded. The princess, standing before him, felt a subtle shift inside. The human had proven her wrong, not by force, but by being extraordinary in ways she had not considered. She could not deny that his presence had changed her perception of strength, courage, and leadership. "You have taught me something important," she admitted quietly. "Strength is not always obvious. It is not measured only by power or skill. Sometimes it is revealed in patience, clarity, and the courage to act when others hesitate. I have learned that from you." The human's expression remained calm, though a small smile appeared at the corners of his lips. "I am glad my actions could help, princess. That is all I ever wished, to help and to act when necessary." The queen stepped forward. "Daughter, this human has earned more than respect. He has earned our trust and our admiration. Let this be a lesson not only in strength, but in wisdom. Even those who seem small or untested may possess qualities beyond what we imagine." The princess nodded, her pride softened by understanding. She looked at the human, then at her mother, and then at the assembled court. "Let it be known," she said finally, "that the human has acted with courage, intelligence, and skill. He has faced challenges without fear and has protected our people when it mattered most. He deserves our recognition." The court erupted in applause. Some bowed deeply, some whispered congratulations, and some simply watched in awe. The human, standing quietly, accepted the acknowledgement with humility. as if it were a natural result of his actions rather than a reward. For the first time, the princess felt a mix of pride and humility. She had insulted him, tested him, and underestimated him. Yet he had risen above every challenge, quietly proving his worth in ways that even she could respect. The human, sensing that his role had been recognized, remained humble. "Thank you, princess. Thank you, queen. I do not seek praise, only to act rightly and to help where I can." The princess looked at him thoughtfully. "You have changed my perspective, human. I may not say it often, but I am grateful. You have shown that strength is not always loud or forceful. It can be quiet, steady, and unwavering. And that is something I must respect." The queen smiled, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "And that, daughter, is the lesson humans often teach us. They are not always the strongest in body, but their minds, courage, and resilience make them formidable in ways we often overlook." The princess nodded again, her expression softening. She took a deep breath and approached the human. "I admit it. I was wrong. You are extraordinary. And though I have insulted you, I now see your true value. I hope you will continue to guide and protect us, for your presence is needed and respected." The human bowed slightly. "I will continue to act as needed, princess. That is my purpose here." The queen spoke once more, addressing both the princess and the human. "Let this day mark a turning point. Let it be known that courage, intelligence, and humility are respected, regardless of origin. This human has shown us that strength comes in many forms. May we all learn from it." The princess, standing beside her mother, finally smiled faintly at the human. It was a small smile, but it carried acknowledgement, respect, and perhaps even admiration. The human had endured insults, tests, and challenges, and he had proven himself without arrogance or complaint. He had changed the way the princess, and indeed the entire court, perceived strength and courage. As the day ended, the human prepared to leave the palace. He had accomplished what he had come to do. He had acted, protected, and quietly taught a valuable lesson about human strength. The princess watched him depart, her heart conflicted. She had expected to dominate, to challenge, and perhaps to humiliate him. Instead, she had been humbled and impressed. The queen observed the scene, her eyes gleaming with quiet satisfaction. The human had proven that actions, courage, and intelligence mattered more than words or titles. The palace, and the princess herself, had been forever changed by his presence. As he walked away, the princess spoke softly, more to herself than to anyone else. "Humans, they are stronger than I ever imagined. And this one, he is remarkable." The human paused briefly, turning his head to glance back. He did not speak, did not boast, but his calm presence seemed to acknowledge her words. Then he continued walking, leaving a lasting impression that would be remembered throughout the palace and the city. The queen returned to her throne, smiling faintly. "The lesson has been learned," she whispered. "Humans are extraordinary in ways we cannot always predict. And this one, he has proven it." The princess, standing at the window, watched the horizon. She had learned much about courage, intelligence, humility, and the quiet power of human determination. And she knew that this human, who had faced insults, tests, and a real threat with calm and precision, had forever altered the way she would view strength, both in herself and in others. The crystal palace, bathed in the golden light of the setting sun, seemed to shine brighter than ever. A human had come, and in doing so, had left a mark that no insult, no test, and no doubt could erase. He had proven that true strength lies not in arrogance, title, or size, but in courage, intelligence, and the quiet determination to act when it matters most.